All right, so welcome to the last project, the last theme. This is going to be the portfolio grid theme, which will be quite different than what we've been doing. There's not going to be a nav bar. We're actually going to use the collapse module or the accordion for pages, for separate pages. So it's going to be a bit different. So let's create a new folder, and we're going to call it portfolio grid. And let's open that up. And let's bring in all the BS4 boiler stuff. And then I think there's one image. So if we go to project images and portfolio grid, we just have an image of this guy who was the owner of the portfolio. Okay, so now what we'll do is open this up with VS Code. And let's go ahead and start this with live server. Just bring this over. Okay. Now, just to explain kind of what we're going to do here, we're working on this whole header area in this video, and we're going to have a column here, and then this is a column, grid column, and then we're using Flexbox quite a bit in this theme. So this is going to be a flex column. These three areas right here, a flex column goes vertical. As opposed to a flex row that goes horizontal, which is the natural way that it goes when we use deflex. But we'll be using a flex row here going this way in this flex column, and then this will also be a flex row. Okay, these icons. So that's how this is going to work. It's a grid, and then inside here a flex column, and then two flex rows. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And we're going to take away the gutters. Notice how there's no spacing anywhere. So we're going to use the no gutters class as well, which we haven't used in a theme yet. So let's go right here, start here, and let's create a container. Okay, now actually all the themes we've created have kind of stretched all the way across, and then we put the content in the container. In this case, we're putting the entire theme inside of a container, so there's nothing outside of it, which is also different. So in here, let's put a header. We'll wrap all this in a header with the ID of main header. And then we're going to have our row. And like I said, we're going to add the no gutters class to keep those spaces out. And we're going to have two columns. The first one is going to be on large screens. It's going to be a 4-column div. On medium screens, it's going to be a 5-column div, and then anything under medium, it'll just stack. Okay, and then let's put our other column here, which will be on large screens, it will be 8, and on medium, it will be 7. Okay, now in this column is just going to be the image of the guy, so we're going to just do image. We're going to do a source of the image folder and person 1. Now, the way that I want this to be, I want to set this to a width and height of 100% of its container. Okay, so we're actually going to do that in the CSS. So if I save this and we take a look, you can see how big the image is. So I'm going to go into style.css, and we'll say main header image. We want to set the width to 100% and the height of 100%. Okay, so if we look now, you can see it's fits in there. So in here is where we want the rest of the stuff in the header. So we want a flex column, so we're going to put a class of dflex, which will make it a flex box. And then we don't want it to go horizontal, we want it to go vertical. Okay, we have those three areas, so we have to label this a flex column. And then the first part is going to be, let's see, let's just look at this real quick. Basically, I want to put a div in here, and it's going to have a background of dark. Okay, so this will have a dark background, and then this will be a flex row. So let's put a div in here. Let's give it padding 5, so padding all the way around. Let's do BG dark, and let's do text white. Okay, and then we're gonna label this as the deflex. Actually, hold on, no we're not. We already did that here. So in here, let's put another div because this is going to be our flex row. So this actually, yes, this has to be a deflex. Okay, and we could put flex row like that. We will. I mean, it's going to be a flex row by default, but we'll still throw the class in there just so we know. And then let's justify the content. So we're going to say justify content, and we're going to say between. And what that's going to do is take any extra space between the name and all the social media icons, and I'll just show you real quick. And it's going to put the extra space in between these. Okay. And then we want to align it to the center as well. So we'll use align items to the center. All right, now in this flex row, the first thing is going to be the H1, which will have the name. So we'll say John Doe. I'm also going to give this a class of display4. Okay, and then under that, what I'm going to do is basically have divs wrapped around these icons, which will also be in links. So we'll have the div, the link, and the icon. Now, when we get to smaller, when we get below medium, I don't want the mobile screen to be very crammed, so I'm getting rid of one of these. Okay, one of these icons. I'm going to get rid of the Twitter one when it's mobile. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll do a div with the class of, this will be the Twitter icon, so I'm going to wrap it in a div with the class of dNone, which will make it just not display none by default, but then I'll add the class of dmd block, which will make it show on medium and up. Okay, and then in here, let's do an a tag. I'm going to give it a class of text white because I want the icon to be white. We'll have it go to Twitter. And inside the link is where we want the Twitter icons. So it'll be social media icons and font awesome. You want to have the FAB class. And then we'll do FA-Twitter like that. So let's just make sure that that shows up. Okay, there's our Twitter icon, and it should disappear on small screens. So now you can see it's not there. And if you want to make it so none of them show on small screens, that's fine. If you want to choose a different icon, if you want them all there and try to maneuver it and cram them in there, you can do that as well. Now what we're going to do is basically have 3 other divs with the social media icons. I'm going to grab this, paste that in, but I'm going to remove these classes. And it's just going to be a div. And then this is going to be Facebook. We'll change the icon to Facebook. And then what I'll do is copy this Facebook div here. And we're going to have 2 more. So this one will be Instagram. Change the icon. And then this one here will be GitHub. And let's save that. Let's take a look. And there we go. Okay, so this is our flex row. Now next in the flex column is the slogan. It'll say experienced full stack web developer. So let's go underneath. We want to go under this div right here with the BG dark. And we're going to add a div. And let's just give this a class of P4, so padding 4. And I also want I want a black background, which I don't believe there is a class for in Bootstrap. So I'm going to do BG black. And we're just going to add a custom class for that in our CSS. And then let's say experienced full stack web developer. All right, now if we look at it, it's just going to look like this, but I want it to have that black background. So let's go to Style CSS and let's add BG black. You could also, if you use Sass, you could also edit a Sass variable. So let's do BG black and let's do color white. We want the text to be white, and then let's do background black. All right, so now it should look like that. Next we have the icons, or the colors, the colored boxes with the icons. So we're gonna go underneath the div that we just created, and here I'm just gonna put an empty div. Or not an empty div, but a div with no class or ID. And then we're going to put our flex box here. So let's say dflex. And it's going to be a flex row. And we want the text to be white. And we also want to align the items to stretch. So we're going to say align items dash stretch. Okay, so they're basically going to go fully from the top to the bottom. And then let's also text center everything. All right, so within here is where we want our what I'm going to call port items, portfolio items. And these are going to, when we click on these boxes, these icons, they're going to open up the collapse. So let's put a div in here with the class of port item. So portfolio item. I'm going to give it a padding 4. And I'm going to give this a BG-primary, so we'll give it a blue background. And in here we're going to have an icon. We're going to do FAS, and then the icon is going to be FA-home. And then we want it 2 times the size, so let's do FA-2X. And then I also want to display it as a block. Okay, we want it on its own line. And then right under that, we want a span. And I'm going to give it a class of D-none. And the reason for this is because I only want these to show on small and up, okay, on small screens and up. So then we're going to do D-SM-block. So it shows on small screens and up, and that'll be the text. Okay, now these are actually going to be, they're going to open up a collapse modules. So on this div with the port item, we're going to add in data toggle, and we're going to set that to collapse, and then we want the data target, or yeah, data dash target. Let's do #home. Okay, so that's the first one. Now we're going to copy the port item div and go right below it, and we want 3 more, so 1, 2, 3 more. And this next one here, we're going to change the color to green, so we're going to use BG success. We're going to change the data target to resume. We're going to change the icon to FA graduation cap, if I can spell it right. So graduation dash cap. And that's going to stay the same. We're going to change the text to resume. And then this next one here is the color. We're going to change this to warning, so this will be yellow. We're going to change the data target to work. We'll change the text to work, and let's change the icon. So from FA home, we're going to change it to FA folder dash open. And then this final one here, this is going to be for contacts. So let's change the color to danger. We'll just change it to red and change this to contact. For the icon, let's do FA envelope and change this to contact. All right, so let's go back and see. Now, it doesn't look right yet. What I had to do is add some custom CSS and just control the width of these. So we're going to make the width 30%. So let's go to our CSS, and we're going to target main header. Whoops, that should be a hash or sharp or number sign, whatever you want to call it. And let's do .port dash item. So all the port item classes, which are those colored boxes, we want to set the width to 30%. And then another thing I want to do is when we hover over them, actually let's just save that and take a look. Okay, so they're 30%. When I hover over them, you can see that it's not a cursor. So we want to change this to a cursor. I'm also going to change the opacity a little bit. We're going to make it 0.8. So let's see, we'll just grab this, paste that in, and let's say on hover, we want the opacity to be 0.8, and let's say we want the cursor to be a pointer. All right, now notice that they're not actually going all the way down like against the next column. So we're going to add a media query for this, and we want to have some extra padding if the min width is 1199 pixels. So basically on large screens we want to have some extra padding. So we're going to say add media, and let's say when the min width is 1199 pixels, then we want the port items to have a padding of, let's do 3M, and set that to important. Okay, and we'll save that, and let's take a look, and now you can see it extends all the way down. So it took me a while to figure out how to line everything up, so I did have to kind of, you know, tweak the CSS a little bit in order to get the effect that I want. You can see it does stay even no matter what size it's at. It doesn't like go up above the image or anything. All right, so that's our header. So I think it looks pretty good. In the next video, we're going to start to work on the collapsible content. So for instance, when we hit home, we're going to want the home area to show, which will have like the skill sets. It'll have a little header and stuff like that. All right, so I will see you in the next video.